Speaking of hardware, are there going to be at some point a Snow device that has a graviton inside of it, or is that already the case, or do we know?
I actually never. I believe it or not, I know very little about where we're going with these, and the process when we are getting ready to launch something new is that generally about a month ahead of time, the teams will create an internal ticket. They'll attach the Amazon document called the PR FAQ. That's the press release and the frequently asked questions. They'll give us a quick briefing. They'll give us product access. But even though we have the teams generally have at least a year to 18 months of a very concrete roadmap of what they're doing, I do my best not to look at it, mostly because it keeps separate. It helps to separate in my head what's real versus what we're working on. And they also reprioritize a lot. So when a team launches the first iteration of some brand new big service, they will often have a very long roadmap of these are things that we want to do. But as soon as they launch, the immediate customer feedback that comes back will start to point them in other directions. So you'll see that some companies will say, okay, here we are, and it's 2022, and here's where we're doing 23, 24, 25, and so forth. We have some good ideas of generally where we'd like to go, but we'd much rather hear where our customers need to go and just let that drive our roadmap. So the short answer is I have no idea what we're building next, but we'll keep trying to fulfill customer use cases.
But safe to say that none of these devices currently have Graviton processors built into them?
Not as far as I know.
Okay. Got it.
All right. Well, do you at least know the name of the next one?
I don't.
I could suggest either Snowplow or Snowshoe.
Okay.
All right.
I heard someone once asking for something like the size of an aircraft carrier for like those truly like earth-shattering levels of data migration, but
who has
that's
those
an awful
needs?
lot of storage.
I wonder who ever has those kind of needs.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Anything else on the space front before we move on from the topic? Like, what was
Well,
it like?
I found space really exciting because like I've been a space fan since I was like maybe 5 or 6 years old, and I remember learning about like the Mercury and the Gemini, and then the Apollo launches and following those. And we just passed the anniversary of the first moon landing, and to be this close to doing that, and to be able to just even to read about it and know that my colleagues are getting to participate in this, it's really, really fascinating. And to me, the more interesting thing, and talking to a lot of my colleagues that are doing this, the connection between science and science fiction, there's actually this really cool circularity where science fiction provides this amazing vision of where the future could go. And then people are inspired by that and say, well, if someone can dream that up, then we can probably actually invent this. And it's a much more circular relationship than an outsider might guess. Like how important the speculation and the science fiction that's often informed by possibilities and by science and by physics to say this is where we could go, and someone's like, oh well, if we could go there, well let's try to do that.
Well, I guess one of my favorite physical books is your old copy of 2001: A Space Odyssey with your 10-year-old handwriting in the cover. And I'm looking forward to reading to my kids.
Awesome.
There's actually a very interesting documentary that I saw a few years ago. It's called How Star Trek Changed the World. I think it's hosted by William Shatner. And it talks about how everything from the mobile phone to the sliding doors were created by people who got really inspired by what Star Trek had shown and went ahead and built those things. Like the flip phone and all of those things kind of came from, the communicator in Star Trek was the inspiration for the flip phone.
Yeah.
So it's pretty amazing how much science fiction kind of inspires us to go do stuff.
Totally agree.
All right, well, let's end the segment, and I'm going to end the segment with a little montage I put together of the AX1
2, 1, 0. Ignition. CM1.
Has
Mike deploy.
SpaceX Dragon on 0 G. If you look at the right-hand side,
These 2 meters.
1 meter to go.
Contact.
So Tom Marshburn making his way down.
pretty exciting that there was a snow cone back in the storage compartment there.
I'm jealous of all those astronauts.
Well, who knows? Maybe you'll get to take a ride in one of the later iterations.
Do you get a discount program on the Blue Origin flights that are coming up?
Not that anyone's told me about yet. I volunteered to go along as a blogger, but so far no response.
There should be some perks of being, one of the early ones at Amazon.
I would hope. I want to feel those G-forces. That I would love that just crushing G-force. I have to imagine that's just a feeling that's pretty hard to replicate anywhere else.
Yeah, I can quite imagine.